back.
It's always, oh, there you go. Got it. Oh, this is exciting, eh?
Yeah. Take it away, Hebsy man.
Just in time for Super Bowl weekend. Super Bowl. How are your Roman numerals, by the way? If I fired Roman numerals at you, do you think you'd know?
Try it, go.
No, but I'm just saying, do you know of anyone that speaks in Roman numerals, or do you know?
No, just Rocky films and Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's the most ancient of all languages, I guess, right? Would be like Roman,
right,
including their numerals, their calendar, all that stuff.
Right.
So, yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Red Carpet Show from the new studio. I'm not going to say the Little Italy studio is no longer. It's possible we could broadcast out of there under an emergency situation, but for now, we're in the new studio and we're just getting it ready. Like we just had, new toilets installed and flooring and, stuff like that. So this is very exciting stuff. How do we look, by the way? We look okay here? Is the sound okay, Mike? I can't tell if the acoustics are a little hollow or what.
No, it's like mildly roomier than normal. But where's the mic in proximity to your mouth there?
It's about this far. Do you want it a little closer?
Get it a bit closer. That always cleans up the roominess.
Interesting.
But I'm tweeting at you right now. We get our ducks lined up, and then I'm gonna do my multitasking excellence and see if I can share this over here. But
all right, let's see if I can boost this a bit. Hang on a second. Yeah, entertain the troops.
All right, I'll entertain the troops.
While I go, because it's a new studio. I'm working on this. Hang on.
Love it. Okay, so I'm actually going to tease a little story after the introduction from the great Mark Hebscher. I'm going to just share a little taste of my wild night last night. I normally have like boring, well, not always boring, but pretty routine, regular nights. And then last night I had like a different kind of night. So I've got a little story that ties in nicely with the start of the Major League Baseball season. So I'm going to tease that. And I'm going to see how we're doing on the live stream. I'm going to multitask over here. I feel like this is where I have all my music loaded up. I could actually, you know what? If I play music, I risk YouTube bumping us. It's actually a very real risk. YouTube algorithms detect you're playing unlicensed music, and then boom, they end the live stream. So, nope. But they have no problem with Do the Murray, which is the opening theme from Los Lobos. Back to Hebsy, man.
All right, how's this? Is this better for you, Mike?
You look good. I can see you, and then over your right shoulder, I see the Eagles and the Chiefs jerseys.
How's the sound? The sound okay? Better there?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, good. Got to work the mic. Work the mic like a pro.
Like a pro. You are a pro.
Ooh, man. So what have we done? What did you do while I was away?
I teased my story.
Oh, I like that. Did you? And you tweeted something with the two of us?
I tweeted something. Retweet? Yeah. Look at this. All this action here.
This. Oh, I'm live with Hebsy man right now. Hebsy's got plenty to say, and I have fun little story off the top. Whoa! So you teased your story, your fun little story off the top, and like you buried the lead with me. Okay.
Oh, that's the opposite.
That's okay. I'm now going to. No, I don't want that. What am I doing here? I want to retweet your tweet.
Remember, that's a tweet from my personal account, Hebsy. I've got to spin it to me somehow.
I like it.
If it was the official Hebsy on Sports account. Okay, happy Super Bowl weekend to Dale Cadeau. Love to see Dale there. And
all right, Dale, what's going on, Dale?
West Coast represent. That's what I like.
It's early for him, eh? Early.
There are early risers out there. That's just how they're.
I'm an early riser here.
What time do you wake up typically?
4.
Oh, that is early.
Yeah.
Why?
I usually have to go to the bathroom about 4, and then from there it's hit or miss as to I'll go back to sleep or I might sleep like a light sleep for the next I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and then I'm up. I'm just up. I'm up and down.
Wow. Okay. Because 4 to me, like if you wake up because you got to whiz at 4 o'clock,
or you got to throw up, or you got the night before was a tough one and you got to throw up. Sometimes it's that too.
Wow. Okay, you have a more exciting life than me. That's
no, I wouldn't say exciting is the word.
See, look, gingivitis. That means that's 3 comments in a row from people that are west of Alberta.
That's great. So listen to this. I get this call yesterday, I guess. It was a direct message on Twitter, right, from Gregory Strong, right, friend of Toronto Mike.
FOTM.
By the way, that FOTM, that's from a long time ago. When I was on Sportsline, when we every time we would interview somebody and they would say, "Oh yeah, we watch your show," we would immediately in the highlights, if they came up, like Rick Tocchet, we'd go, "Oh, friend of Sportsline." Right? Like this is like it was just one of those. But friend of becomes, it's a really great expression. It's like,
yeah.
Because when I remember we had Tocchet on one time, I think it was after the Canada Cup one year, and he was like, "Oh, we watch all the time, and my brothers watch, and my family watches, and they live right down the street." We went and visited the family. So every time something would happen, he'd get into a fight with Wendell Clark. We would go, "Oh, Rick Tocchet, friend of Sportsline," and of course Wendell Clark, also friend of Sportsline, and it became one of those things. So whenever you mention it, it reminds me of that. Anyway, so I get a call from him and he says, "Can I talk to you about," he listens to the podcast, "Can I talk to you about the Blue Jays announcing, announcement about their broadcast teams?" I say, "Oh yeah, I'll be talking about that on the podcast." So there's going to be an article. I don't know. He writes for CP, but I think a lot of his stuff is picked up by the Star, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
So he's, I want to say the de facto Blue Jays writer for CP, but yeah, he covers the Jays and has for a while.
And he does listen. He told me he listens to you every Friday.
Yeah. So anyway, he called me. So there's going to be an article out. I guess he's going to quote me. So I might, I don't want to steal stuff from the article, but I've been saying it all along about how, just how ridiculous it is for Ben Wagner to not go on the road. Just so stupid. So
stupid. I want to hear it here.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Okay. So here we go, because I got my story too, right? Okay, so it's just hopefully not too long. But here we go, Hebsy. I start this program. Let me get my ducks lined up. Here we go.
All right. Hey, sports fans. Welcome to Hebsy On Sports, episode 320. I'm your host, Mark Hebsher, along with Toronto Mike. Toronto Mike at the Mothership. Yours truly broadcasting from the new subterranean studio in Markham on gateway to Stouffville. I would say we're closer to Stouffville than we are to downtown Markham.
Are you there permanently now, Mr. Hebsher?
Well, nothing's permanent, of course, Mike, but got a good lease arrangement here. Yep.
Okay.
Got new toilets in, so the bathroom facilities, as you know, Mike, when you've got a studio, you got to have a bathroom nearby.
Right. But you won't be saying Little Italy the way you say it anymore?
Probably not. Probably not. I still have the Little Italy studio. The lease is up next month. But hey, the time was right. The time was right. So here we are. And just in time for Super Bowl I don't even know. In fact, you know what? Please, no more Roman numerals. How about right now, starting now, no more Roman numerals? Because really, for it to only be associated with Julius Caesar and the Super Bowl is not enough. Okay. Let's just, whatever number it is, 53, 57, whatever it is. It's sort of like, what episode is this of Hebsy On Sports? What if I gave it to you in Roman numerals? Right? Instead,
we should do that.
No more Roman numerals. Okay. Let's put a stop to it. I tell you, I remember when it was Super Bowl XXX and people were like, "Oh, Super Bowl triple X." Everybody got excited. Since then, not so much. So forget the Roman numerals thing. Coming up, the Super Bowl, not a preview. I like the Eagles. I'll tell you right now. Coming up, though, the new look Toronto Raptors are going for a playoff berth, much to the chagrin of Toronto Mike and others. Damn the tank job. We're going for the playoffs. Big surprise there, because everybody thought the Raptors were just going to deal like the whole team, like a feeding frenzy for Raptors players. No, we're going for it. I like what Mazai had to say, Ujiri. Besides fuck Brooklyn, I like the man. He's good. He knows his stuff. Maple Leafs have a double date with Columbus this weekend amidst another goalie controversy. Another one, really? We'll get into that. The Waste Management Open is where fans get wasted and turn it into a week-long party. Oh, yeah, there's golf, too. And atop the leaderboard, the best partiers in the world, the Canadians. We know how to party. As well, Arash Madani has been replaced on the Blue Jays broadcast by Arden Zwelling. Anybody have that on their media bingo card? I sure didn't. And Ben Wagner will not travel to do radio games again. After last summer, they said, okay, you can go travel and do radio games. Bunch of fucking cheapskates at Rogers. Honest to God. What if Bo Bichette dipped into his $33 million deal and maybe paid for Ben's travel and per diem? Wouldn't that be nice? Like, how much could that be? 50 grand. Bo, come on. Would you like to have radio coverage? Bo could sponsor the radio broadcast. Wouldn't that be great?
Well, they could pass a hat in the dugout and cover this expense.
No, but I mean, nowadays, especially, Mike, with the amount of money being thrown on, wouldn't it be smart for Bo? The marketing team said, Bo, what if you just sponsored the radio broadcast?
The team might not like that. There might be ulterior.
Doesn't matter. Money. It's money. What do you think the team cares? Whether, what if, for example, Ben Wagner were to say something like, there's a ground ball to short. Oh, mishandled by Bichette. That can't be an error. It's a hit. No errors for Bo because he's sponsoring the show.
It would make Rogers look cheap and bad.
Cheaper than they are right now?
Well,
not send them. Okay, you sit in a studio and try to describe what kind of a day it is and what's going on in the stands. Okay. And when the camera decides to cut late and you can't tell whether the ball was bobbled by the shortstop because the camera, the feed you're watching, the cameraman has already cut to the first baseman, like you're fucked. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Tell you about the story of the time I covered a Super Bowl and nearly got thrown in jail. Well, maybe not jail, but we thought that the highway patrol would come after us just to get that one perfect shot, that one perfect TV shot. We'll get into all that and more. But first, let's say hi to Toronto Mike at the Mothership, who I'm sure, Mike, has you've got big plans for the Super Bowl, don't you?
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. That's my big plans. But let me tell you, I had normally I have pretty boring plans like that, except last night I actually had a kind of a neat night. Like somebody invited me to a very fancy restaurant last night. Like, I don't know.
How fancy?
Well, let's just say the wine cellar alone apparently had like a value of like $25 million. A very famous owner, and I had a very famous person who took me. So I don't want to drop any names. I don't like to drop names, Hebsy, but I'm there, right?
And you want me to ask no specifics, but I don't. No. I'm not going to fall for the bait. Go on.
Don't fall. This story is not about all that. This story is about this lovely woman. I think she's in her 50s, but that doesn't matter. But she is the sommelier there, like the official sommelier, because there's so much expensive wine. Like I walked through the wine cellar and the price tags are like $45,000 for this bottle. It's crazy stuff, right? This sommelier is telling the person who is paying for my meal, because I can't afford to be there, like this is the wine and talking. And then at some point, this person is asked, how are you? And she says, I'm good, but my boy's going to be leaving soon because of spring training. So now I'm going to be like polite because I'm curious, of course. I'm like, oh, who is your son who's going to spring training? Because I'm thinking it's going to be someone I never heard of. It's going to be somebody maybe ends up in AAA or trying to make it. I didn't think I'd ever know who this person was. You know what she says to me? What name do you think she drops on me?
I don't know.
Joey Votto. So
right,
Joey Votto's mom.
Yes, it's a sommelier.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And she was at this restaurant.
You didn't know that. You weren't aware that his mother's a sommelier.
Do you think how many of your Hebsy On Sports listeners?
Every one of them. Every fucking one of them, Mike.
Okay, we're gonna do a YouTube poll. Let me know if
every one of them knew that. They know Joey Votto's father passed away many years ago, several years ago, a long time ago. Was his hero, but his mom, and has been a sommelier at the top restaurants for many years. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Hebsy, man. Well, there's at least one person listening is going to be blown. Their mind's going to be blown.
That's good. You know what, though, Mike? To blow someone's mind, I know it's big for you, right? That's big. And it is a good story. But the fact that you met her, that's the story.
That's the story. Except, no,
that's the story.
I braced myself for a name I had never heard of, and she dropped what I believe to be the greatest Canadian Major League Baseball player. I don't know about pitchers because I don't know about Fergie Jenkins and all that, but position
Larry Walker. Larry Walker.
The debate is out there, though. The debate exists.
Larry Walker.
Yes, that was Larry Walker's mom, the sommelier.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but Joey, you think he's going to
be Mike. Larry Walker's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Joey Votto is not in the Hall of Fame.
But he will be.
Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. I would say he's right on the cut line, man.
Gene Velitis wants me to drop the name of the person who took me, so I'm just going to tell Gene Velitis it's Donovan Bailey. Donovan Bailey took me out for dinner last.
Nice. That's a good story.
Okay, there you go. I don't have as good stories as a Hebsy man.
No, that's a good story. Okay, the fact that you didn't know that Joey Votto's mom was a sommelier is a good.
I didn't know that.
But here's the thing. So you met. So tell us now.
Yeah.
What wine did you like? How much was the wine that you drank? Like, tell me.
I never saw the price. I've
seen Donovan Bailey drink before. Okay. I could also tell you a story, which I will not, about the night that we were at the Fergie Jenkins. No, was it? Yeah, the Fergie Jenkins golf tournament, as a matter of fact. And then afterwards in St. Catharines, I was like, who is that guy running down the alleyway there? I said, whoa, the world's fastest man. And the cops were like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, it's him. And when Donovan showed up, they said, holy fuck, it's Donovan! At 2 a.m. in an alleyway behind the bar Don't even ask. But it was, but he's a good time. He's great. So I'm glad.
That's for the after show.
I'm glad you had a good time. Okay, so Super
Back
Bowl
to Hebsy,
weekend,
man.
Super Bowl number 57. 57. Anybody know what that is in Roman numerals? No Roman numerals ever again. You thought, Mike, that last year and previous years that there was a lot of money bet worldwide on the Super Bowl? You haven't seen anything. The American Gaming Association estimates that a record 50.4 million people in the United States alone will bet on Super Bowl 57. The number of people expected to wager on the Chiefs versus Eagles would be 61% more than wagered last year. 61% increase. Ask any business. 61% increase in revenue in 1 year. They're going to go, no fucking, why? What? What is this, the new Coke? Oh, no, that's the other way. That's crazy. Mike, now you can bet in 33 states. Legally bet in 33 states. No more surreptitious, no more, I got to go across the border, no more offshore, in the states. And guess what? Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania, which is next to New Jersey and New York. And just that area alone bets heavy gambling money, always have, but now they can do it legally. Right. And that's why the Eagles are only a slim 1.5 point favorites over Kansas City, with the over-under set at 51.5 points. And everybody's just, they're holishing for the Super Bowl so they can bet. And you know, you can bet on anything, Mike. You can prop bets if you're into that. Tens and thousands of them, starting with the coin toss. Who's going to win that? And what are the odds on that? Do you like heads? Do you like tails?
What songs will Rihanna sing, right? You could probably bet on that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. In fact, last year, Mike, I lost a Super Bowl prop bet because I thought the national anthem would be sung in less than 1 minute and 15 seconds. Boy, was I wrong. I forget her name now, was stretching out those last notes. I'm like, I'm dead here. I took the under on how long remember the national anthem would be.
Right.
Anyway, the coin toss, here's the big one. Last night, Mike, I'm watching, I forget, I think it was a hockey game. No, Raptors game. And then afterwards, during Sportsnet Central, I think, they go to this clip of Cabby and Anthony Bruno and the guy from fucking Fort Lauderdale that they have always on those betting things. Now, if you remember, Mike, they would have these guys on. They would have Cabby in the studio, right? A different studio from Ron McLean. And he'd be standing there with Anthony Bruno, or a couple of the guys would be standing there. And then sometimes they throw to the guy in Fort Lauderdale. Now, these segments, all three of them are at home. They're sitting at home, looking like you and me, right? And they're not going into the studio anymore. So now already they're the SN Bets stuff, the big board and all that stuff. No, they're doing it on the cheap now, Rogers. They're going, look, we can't send Ben Wagner on the road. We don't need to bring these guys into the studio. Do it from home.
Interesting.
So it's looking cheaper and cheaper. And I got to tell you, these segments that are like 5 minutes long, they're awful. They really take away from the momentum of these, a lot of these studio shows. Anyway, where was I now?
Well, no, before you continue, what's your bet? Chris Stapleton is singing the national anthem. The over-under is 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Over or under? Stapleton?
Fuck, he's great. Man, if he gets into a guitar solo, a little bit of, oh man. No, I'm going to say over 207.
Okay, I'm saying
because you can't rock that song. You can't pick up the tempo of that song, right? He's not going to be going, oh, say, no, over 207.
Okay, I've got the under. We'll check in next week.
You can bet on whether the opening kickoff will be a touchback or not. You can every bet under the sun. Game goes at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, Sunday night, 6:30 kickoff. And if you think you saw a lot of ads for gambling before, you ain't seen nothing. I have no idea, Mike. I'm thinking DraftKings, FanDuel, BetRivers, Bet69, Bet99, Bet365, OLG, Bet with Hebsy, you name it. And you name it.
Yeah.
Okay, go crazy. I like the Eagles because of their fabulous defense. I do believe that this game will come down to the final drive, as it should be. Two really well-matched teams. And if Philadelphia can keep Patrick Mahomes at bay, which is not easy, then they'll win and they'll cover. And here's hoping that Jalen Hurts is not, that Jalen's fine. And I love Jalen Hurts. And I think I mentioned to you, I love the ad campaign they did with him with like, your name's Jalen Hurts. We want to change it to Jalen Helps. And he was like, well, okay. Because Jalen Hurts, they go, Jalen Hurts, I know that's your name, but we think we'd like to change it, and he's like, yeah, that sounds good. Jalen helps. and they show him like helping an old lady across the street and, stuff like that. It's very cute. And anyway, and I think he's a hell of a quarterback. Not that Mahomes isn't a great guy too. I mean, really, you're talking about the first time two black quarterbacks have started in a Super Bowl and two really engaging guys, interesting guys, as opposed to just being, oh, you're just a quarterback, right. Like really well-rounded people, interesting guys. So, I'm rooting for both of them to do well, and I picked Philadelphia to win the game.
I think Philadelphia wins by double digits.
Wow. Maybe force Casey to turn the ball over a few times. That's what you're thinking?
Yeah, so we'll find out with the two bets we now have here. We'll find out next week.
So now you're a better. Suddenly you're a better, Mike. Suddenly you're.
Well, it's for pride. It's for pride. It's for bragging rights.
Right. So, did I see Chris Stapleton of the Grammys last week?
Yep, you did. Yep.
He's awesome, eh?
Yeah.
He was playing with Stevie Wonder.
Right.
That's what it was. He's on with Stevie Wonder.
I actually like the Grammys. So normally these, maybe I get them all mixed up, but usually I'm underwhelmed and I think it's pretty awful and there's a lot of lip syncing. But this time the performances seem pretty strong.
Now, there's some pretty good performances. I'm telling you, if you're performing on the Grammys, I don't give a shit if the ratings are down or not. That's a pretty good venue, man. That's a good, to get your stuff across. Some for interesting people, interesting characters on those Grammy Awards. Anyway, just hit the new table here. I got one thing I got to be careful of.
Yeah.
See, this isn't the desk. The desk hasn't arrived yet.
Okay.
The desk I've been using before. So this is a makeshift desk.
Just like boxes. Is it pizza boxes?
No. It's a desk, but I got to watch. I don't slam my knee on it.
Well, this is a big episode. I'm watching things very closely from the new Toronto headquarters. Make sure the sound holds up, the internet holds up. I want to make sure the table holds up. This is a big day for us.
Okay. How are we doing so far?
So far, above average, adequate. We're doing all right here. There's still room for improvement.
Good. Let's go for it then. Let's talk about some of the local teams, shall we? The Toronto Raptors pulled off a surprise, a shock, would you say, by not dealing any of their key players at the deadline. Okay, and acquiring a guy, in fact. Everybody and their brother-in-law figured that the Raptors would give up Fred or OG or both or Gary Trent Jr. or all of them, but none of them. In fact, reacquiring center Jakob Poeltl from San Antonio went there in the deal for with DeRozan and the deal for Kawhi Leonard so we could win a championship. Remember that?
Of course.
So we got him back, and he's a good center. He's going to fit in nicely as a number 5. He's going to take the pressure off Boucher and Precious and Koloko, those rim rockers there as the Raptors try to work their way up the playoff ladder. Currently, we have the final play-in spot. We're in a playoff spot right now. That's the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference, but just a couple games out of 8th place, 4 games back out of 7th place. That's where the Knicks are right now. So anything can happen. 26 games to go. And I like the Raptors' chances. They've got Utah tonight at home. They host the Pistons Sunday afternoon. And everybody's healthy now. And, I like the fact that Masai Ujiri came along and said, look, we had some selfishness creeping into this team. And maybe I didn't give this team enough when it came to personnel. So here we go. We're not trading anybody. And we got some help now, on the front court, here with Poeltl. We got some help because, the Raptors are getting beaten up by teams with big men. And tonight, that test again, because Utah's back and Utah clobbered them, double teamed them in the post, Markkanen and I forget the other guy. But anyway, so let's just see what the new look Raptors look like. I'm telling you this right, Mike. I think the Raptors are going to finish 7th in the conference. And I think they're going to get a Milwaukee or a Boston, and you never know. I mean, Milwaukee and Boston are the 2 best teams, but they're not great teams. They're not spectacular, unstoppable teams. Raptors can beat both those teams. And Brooklyn, fuck Brooklyn. Okay, because they said, as soon as they got Kyrie Irving, okay, I was like, oh boy. And Durant, the 2 of them, with Nash as the coach, hey, this isn't going to last long. And it didn't. They're all gone now, all of them. So fuck Brooklyn, and we can go by them too. They may not win again. So fuck it, let's make a run, says Masai Ujiri, and I love it. I love it. What about you?
I know you think I'm disappointed, but I'm not disappointed. I'm just merely surprised because I was sure, you mentioned those 3 players, but OG for sure. There was a lot of rumblings.
But he's hurt.
I know, but there was,
He's
There was
hurt.
good credible sources saying that Golden State was very interested. So I
Sure,
don't.
everybody was very interested. At what price, though? I'm very interested, Mike. I can only give up, a table and chairs. But I'm
But
just saying, doesn't mean I'm not interested. And that's why now versus back in the day, there's so much to read from so many different people, so many pundits, paid and unpaid. Remember, there's professional pundits, there's amateur pundits.
no, this was good. This is like
there's a guy sitting in a barber chair who goes, "Oh, the guy next to me was just on his phone, and so and so's been traded." Bing,
right,
and,
right,
right, an instant star, instant.
right.
George Springer.
But the Nets, you mentioned, fuck Brooklyn. Like, I find that fascinating because when you think about the fact that for a brief period of time that those three players were, Harden was there and Irving was there and Durant, and then nothing to show for it.
What are you talking about? They got Ben
Simmons,
Simmons to show for it, and he's horrible. He's horrible. He is. I don't think I've ever seen a player go from being like a top ranked guy with not just with potential. He proved that he was a good player for a while there.
Yeah.
And to all of a sudden, just like, oh my God, he's a punchline now. He's a punchline. When you think of what they expected from that team with those guys, went and got, that's right, Harden, you go there, we'll get Ben Simmons. Oh, yeah.
Like that's quite the dream team they assembled there to do nothing at all, and now it's gone.
Yep. Yeah, and I think Nash kind of knew it and was like, I'm not that upset. I didn't want to go into it. Was a dumpster fire. I didn't want to be a part of that.
Wow.
So here in Toronto now, so here's what you got. You got Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. are going to both be free agents at the end of the season. All right? Raptors aren't going to get anything for them. But here's what they're going to get. They're going to get their best play down the stretch. So we'll see what kind of team this is. And this is why I think that the Raptors are going to surprise some people, is because everybody now knows what their position is. All these guys who thought there was selfishness or whatever are all looking now going, you know what? You're not going to be traded. You're not traded. We're all together. We're in this for the final 26 games together. We're healthy for the most part, except for OG. We got a backup now in the middle, which is great. Get him some minutes and let's go. Let's beat these other teams. And I think if you look at the quality of the lineup, Mike, there's no reason to think they can't do it. No reason to think. VanVleet, when he's on his game, fabulous player. Trent's been sensational. Siakam is a game breaker at any time. It's just he's not a clutch player. And he's got to prove. And if he can't do it, then he's got to help other players on the Raptors prove that they're clutch player, that the Raptors can be a clutch team, as opposed to it all falling on his shoulders. You got to help, Pascal. So maybe that's some of the selfishness that Ujiri was alluding to, inferred. Two guys are going to be free agents. The year after that is both OG and Pascal. So during next season, if either one of them gets us an extension prior to next season, they're going to be playing in their final year, their free agent year as well. Next year at the trade deadline could be wild. You imagine? You can't sign Siakam, right? He's playing in his final year. You're coming up to the trade deadline. This is next year at this time. And you're like, shit, you got both OG and Pascal, and we can't sign either one of them. What do we do? And people are clamoring next year. They know. Anyway, see what happens.
I will say the NBA trade deadline is so much more exciting than
way more exciting. You know why? It's early. The NHL trade deadline is way too late. Teams aren't waiting for the deadline day to make their deals. What the fuck are we waiting for? It's 3 more weeks.
But top 10 players get traded. Like it's like you don't see that in NHL. Like it's
but when you've got the guys on the desk at Trade Center for both networks going, oh shit, man, how come they didn't wait till trade deadline day? Then the first thing you say is, fuck trade deadline day, move your coverage up move everything up 3 weeks. Make it the week after the NBA trade deadline. How about that? Make it next week. Make it the 17th of February. All right? But don't wait that much longer. Let's have some excitement here because Vladimir Tarasenko is with the Rangers now. And once that happens, somebody else is going to make a deal. Okay, you think we should wait for the trade deadline so the TV guys and the media can... No, fucking wait for the trade deadline. Simple. Move the trade deadline up. Move it up. Seriously. Make it, after, look, 26 games to go in the NBA season. What's that? That's 56 games in. Where's the NHL at right now? How many games in the NHL? Should they do it at the 56 game? Do they do it at the 56 game mark? Mike, help me out here. Anyway, so there's a suggestion. That's
I like that subject. Now that I know we're going to talk Leafs next. So I was reading a post by Howard Berger, and Howard Berger went off on Chris Johnston because Chris Johnston wrote in the I know, I'm just going to throw it out there and you can do what you want with it. But Chris Johnston wrote in the Star that there are no perceivable weaknesses in this Maple Leaf lineup as Treadline and Berger was saying, and who gives a shit for fine, but Berger was saying that this is all part of the media's love-in for the Leafs. Like the fact that you could say this team has no perceivable weaknesses is, he says, is insane. Like I want to hear, I want to hear you talk Leafs, but if you wanted to comment on that notion that the Leafs have no perceivable weaknesses.
What do I care that what do I care of Chris Johnson?
Well, this is you're the pundit.
And who he's being paid for. But again, it's just one person's opinion, okay? If I was to go, do we want to go through everything that everyone wrote? And whether I agree with that person's opinion,
but this is a team that hasn't won a playoff round in
Tell me what the weaknesses are.
18 years.
Well, you tell me, Mike. What are the weaknesses on this team? I mean, every team has weaknesses.
The D line. I mean, we never have those big bruise and D men that you need for a long playoff run. I mean, there's for sure there's weaknesses. This is never smelled a playoff series.
So you're telling me that you don't believe pundit Chris Johnston? But you do believe ex-pundit Howard Berger?
No, I want to hear Hebsy's take on this. It would be, I think, to think that this is a Stanley Cup winning team that we have right now on the Maple Leafs, I think is a little naive.
Yeah, here's my take. I don't give a fuck what other people say. I watch this team. They're a good team. They're a fucking good. Are they perfect? No. Is any team perfect? No.
But can they win the Stanley Cup this year?
Yes,
sure.
Of course they can win the Stanley. Of course they can.
But you think you think the Raptors?
Of course
can
they can. All they got to do is get out of their division. That's going to be the toughest part of it.
That's it.
There is no.
We couldn't beat Montreal.
There is no dominant team in the National Hockey League. And if you go on history, by the way, not past history, because that's fucking redundant. So please don't tell me past history. Past history.
That's recent history.
How about the backstory? Not the story. The backstory. Okay. Like back catcher in baseball. Okay. When I hear someone say, "Oh, the back catcher," I said, no.
I say that periodically.
Let's go. Carry on. Anyway, so the trade deadline's 3 weeks away. Here's Kyle Dubas saying, I don't expect to make a splash. And, we don't really, I think he inferred that they don't have any big issues. I think they have an issue with goaltending. Not that they don't have good goaltending. They need a great backup goaltender. And that hasn't worked out because Samsonov is fine as your number one. He's awesome, man. I think. Matt Murray back on IR with an ankle injury. Joseph Wall has been recalled from the Marlies. We had Shalgren for a while before that. We had Hutchison and we had fucking Garrett Sparks. And we had a bunch, like I can't even remember all the backup goalies we've had on this team. But you should be able to pick up a veteran goalie as a backup. But I don't think they have cap space. And there's other impediments that makes it difficult. So he's kind of hamstrung there because you spend all your money on certain guys. Remember, he couldn't keep Zach Hyman, right? He couldn't keep Hyman. He couldn't do it. I can't do it. I can't find a way to do it. You take less money. Will you take less money? And he had to have a bunch of guys that make, $800,000 a year to fill out the roster. Couldn't keep Mikheyev, right? Anyway. So that to me is the perceived weakness. Other than that, I'm sorry. I think they're fine. It's always nice to upgrade, but can you do it within the structure? I guess not. So let's see what happens in the playoffs. We have to wait to see. I've been telling you this all the time. There's nothing else. Nothing else. Last year, didn't they go after what's his name? Nick Foligno. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I don't remember.
2 years ago, I think. But
how did that work out? How'd that work out? When was the last time the Leafs made a deadline deal or whatever that was like, wow, Stanley Cup now?
Oh, and Nolan.
So it's tough. It's difficult to make a big deal, an important deal, a key, to really solidify your team these days in the NHL. And the NBA doesn't seem to have a problem with it, but the NBA really, there's only 5 starters and they're out there for, most of the game. So, you don't have to worry about your top 60 or your bottom 6, or not the same thing in hockey. Anyway, move up the trade deadline. Been saying that for years. Add a little drama and also make guys like Duthie and all the guys in the sports and give them a break. Let them have something to talk about. Make it earlier. Okay, good. Leafs in Columbus tonight to play the lowly Blue Jackets. Then the return match is tomorrow, Saturday night at the Scotiabank Arena. Looks like Joe Wall will play Saturday's game with Samsonov going tonight in Ohio. And if the Leafs hope to keep a home advantage, well, they better get going because the Bolts are 2 points back of Toronto with a game in hand. And the most, now again, do you blow your brains out trying to keep home ice advantage in the first round? Do you go, we got to get somebody, does that matter? No, it doesn't matter. You're going to play Tampa home and away. It doesn't make it probably better off to be on the road, less pressure on you if that could be done. Boston's 13 points clear of the Leafs, so that's not going to happen. So there you go. Leafs could end up being the second best team in the NHL and unable to beat the best team in their own, because it's in their own division. And that could be Tampa or Boston. Who knows?
That makes us the third best team.
You're right. Could be one, could be both, could be all of them. In baseball, I have to admit, Mike, I've been watching the Caribbean World Series this week. It's been fucking great. I love baseball in February. 8 countries this year for the first time. So you got the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Panama, Cuba, Curacao, Colombia, and the host country this year, Venezuela. So they have a round robin, right? You play each team once. So you play 7 games in the round robin and the semifinals. And tonight is the final game. 1-game finale. I like this. Instead of best of 7. So it's a round robin, top 4, like in a lot of, World Hockey Championship, stuff like that. Yeah. Round robin, right? The 4 teams out of the 8 with the 4 best records, 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. Yesterday, the Dominican Republic beat Mexico, which was the number 1 seed, and Venezuela beat Colombia in a fantastic game, both really exciting games. And so the final is tonight. Dominican Republic against the
Where do you watch this, Hebsy?
In Caracas. Okay, so remember you taught me about Reddit and subreddit and stuff like that?
Sure.
Oh my God, what a community.
Yeah.
You can find anything.
Yeah.
Find anything. There's very helpful people out there. Lovely, beautiful, fabulous. So go to Reddit, my suggestion, and just, punch in, what you want to watch. And there's somebody out there that'll go, here you go. Here's the link. Beautiful.
Okay.
There you go. So it's been exciting. It's been fun. And my favorite team for the last, I'm going to say since 1985, when I first saw them play, is the Tigers of Licey. So Los Tigres del Licey. So this is the team that Tony Fernandez played on. This and all the great 23-time Dominican champions. And this team's it's a fabulous team. And so they represent the Dominican in this Caribbean World Series. And they're allowed to bring, I think, 4 or 5 players from other teams in the Dominican League with them for the championship series.
You got to get that proper table in there, Hebsy.
What did I just do there? Hang on. What did I just do?
I'm getting motion sickness.
What did I just do there, Mike? What did I just
You still sound good. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Am I okay? Did I smack the table all over the place?
Yeah, we had a little rough, but most people listen to it as a podcast.
It's gonna be a hands-off thing. I have to be careful here. Yeah. So anyway, love baseball, love it. And hoping Licey and the Dominican team wins tonight against Venezuela. They got listen, Licey's got Robinson Cano, Emilio Bonifacio, Esmil Rogers pitched yesterday. And like every hit, and even when every run scores, they all come out of the dugout. Everybody comes out of the dugout. And what they do is instead of putting on the home run jacket like the Jays did, they have like it's a blue, because Licey is the azur, the blue, right? They have what are those cheap cowboy hats? Those cheap straw cowboy hats that you pop on, right? That you get at the fair, and it's blue. And then whoever hits the home run whoever hits a home run, they just run out. They put this little hat on the guy, like the Angels do with Mike Trout. Not a jacket, just a little hat.
They're having a good time.
They have a great time. It's so you can see how, especially the Dominican players, but a lot of the Latin players, how much fun they have during. And these are big, huge games, right? And they're trying to do that in Major League Baseball, but teams like Toronto and a lot of fans, people are resistant to that type of behavior because they think that there's a lack of focus, and I don't know, it's a different.
People want sports to be very, very serious.
Well, again, you're talking about tradition, okay? Look, what about the people that say, forget about the American League and the National League? Who gives a shit about that? Let's have the 2 best teams playing. Let's break it down geographically. Let's have 4 team divisions, and let's have, whatever it is, right? 8 4-team divisions, 32 teams in baseball. Forget about National League and American League. Group them geographically.
Baby steps, yeah.
Group them geographically, right? The winners of each division go on to play each other, 1 versus 8, blah, 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 whatever, reseed, all that shit.
I always figured all of this came out of the fact that they wanted less travel expense and travel time and stuff. Like it's all like that's why you got East versus West and
Well,
stuff.
yeah, you always wanted that geographically. You always wanted to have that.
Right.
When Toronto went to the Western Conference, believe me, the NHL paid the Leafs a pretty penny to move to the West. I remember the story, okay? Ballard, hey, Harold, how much if we move you to the Western Conference, Detroit is your rivalry, and Chicago is your rival, and St. Louis is your rival, and Minnesota is your rival. That's the division you're going to play in.
Right.
And you're in Toronto going, well, I kind of like Buffalo, Boston, Montreal, Quebec. Kind of like that division. This is before Ottawa came along, right?
Sure, of course.
I like that Adams division. No. Here, how much money do you want? So those fuckers took it. And now suddenly travel became, oh, Jesus Christ. Now, excuse my language, but now it's like, here we are traveling to Chicago and St. Louis and Minnesota, which are all an hour behind us in the central time zone. And after those games have ended, we got to get our ass on the bus to the airport to fly a charter back to Toronto. And we better be back in Toronto before 2 a.m. or else we're going to have to fly to Hamilton. There's a whole clusterfuck. You know how many times we ended up flying to Hamilton? And then there's a bus waiting for you on the tarmac at fucking 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
After you just finished a road game in Minnesota or Chicago or St. Louis. Fuck. It's horrible.
So Ballard got the Benjamins. Like it's all about the
man. He saved all kinds of money. He made a fortune when he agreed to move into the Western Conference. And then he saved all this fucking money by having, it was a whole. And then in the air, I think I mentioned to you, the airline, Air Niagara, ended up going belly up. We almost crashed going to fucking Hartford one night in a storm. We were saying, guys were saying the Lord's Prayer out loud as the plane is going. And I'm thinking I'm sitting next to Doug Gilmour. I'm thinking, fuck, this is the way it's going to be. Wow. Like, this is how it's going to fucking end on the way to Hartford for a fucking. Ugh.
And it would suck for you because you die with Doug Gilmour, so you'd be like buried in the story. Also, Mark.
No. There was 2 occasions. The other time was when we were driving back from St. Thomas, and I hit black ice, and he's in the passenger seat next to me, and we did 2 360s in front of a transport truck, and it ended up in the ditch. And I'm thinking, I can see the headline the next day. Least chances to win Stanley Cup killed. Gilmour dies. Sportscaster also injured in broadcast. I wouldn't have had a scrape on me or something. Fuck, I thought about all that stuff. So anyway.
Wow.
Okay.
These are the stories.
Yeah. All right. So now so yesterday I get this phone call from Gregory Strong of Canadian Press. A lot of his writing is in the Toronto Star. Good writer, listens to the show. And he wanted my comments on the Blue Jays, their announcement of their broadcast crew this year. And so I told him, if you know, or maybe you don't, Arash Madani is out as sideline reporter. And there was a flurry of activity on Twitter. Big surprise, Mike. A lot of people hated Arash.
Yes.
So when someone loses their job, and Arash didn't lose his job, but that position he no longer has, as him and Hazel were the sideline reporters, post and pregame interviewers and such, hosts and on the field at Jays games. Mm-hmm. So he's out, and people were very quick to good, which I don't like that shit at all. That's bullshit.
No, they did it. They also did that when Romanuk was let go, and they did that when Healy was let go. There are for some reason, Twitter,
a lot of angry people.
Yeah, don't like some people, and they're happy
miserable
people. Fired. Yeah,
miserable people. People like that don't listen to the show, do they, Mike? Like miserable people?
No,
cynics?
People like that hate Hebsy, so it's like forget about it.
Okay, so the Blue Jays announced their changes. So Arash is out. He'll find other work. He's good. He's a good guy. I didn't know he was so universally disliked, though. Wow.
And let's remember, he's not let go from his sports.
No. Right, he just lost that position.
He does a lot of other things.
Not his this year. He's replaced by Arden Zwelling, who is good. And I don't want to say a surprisingly good interview, but all the stuff I've seen with Arden, he's a very good interviewer.
You don't think he's a little boring?
I don't think he's boring when he's interviewing someone.
Right.
It's like, I'm not there. I don't need to hear hardcore, baseball insight. I like his interviewing style. And I think Rogers recognized that too. He's very good not that Arash wasn't, but Arden's different.
Arash, by the way, a
style.
New Toronto resident. So he's a neighbor.
Nice. He's a good guy. So anyway, Arden's doing that. Dan and Buck are on the call, of course. Joe Siddle will fill in when either one is away. That's simple. It's going to be Dan and Joe if Buck is away, and it's going to be Buck calling the play-by-play and Joe sitting with him. And we all know how these guys work together. They're fabulous. Mm-hmm. Jamie Campbell and Joe will anchor the studio show. Caleb Joseph he'll fill in when, Joe's doing on the play-by-play. I suspect. And Hazel May will continue in her role, as will Ben Wagner on radio play-by-play, except Ben is not going to be traveling with the team this year. These motherfuckers at Rogers. Last year, remember in July, we've announced that Ben Wagner will be traveling with the team. Everything's safe with COVID. And well, we're going, great. We can now listen to these broadcasts. And they even added, for some home games, they added Caleb on some of the broadcasts, and they added, I think it was Ben Nicholson-Smith as well as a color commentator along with Ben, which I thought, okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, they're coming out of it. They're evolving now. But no, now they're back to, oh, sorry, Ben, we don't want to pay for your travel, so you can fucking call the games off a monitor. You can call 81 road games off a monitor and try to give people the feeling that you're at the ballpark. Fuck, man.
Okay, this is clearly a sign that Rogers just doesn't care about the radio broadcast. Like maybe there's no money in it. Maybe nobody's listening. Maybe they just don't give a rat's ass about the radio broadcast. So maybe we're at a point now where we're lucky we have one. Like it's like, okay, you can have the simulcast of the TV feed. That's the path of least cost.
I've said it before. They're doing a terrible disservice to their listeners. There are people that cannot watch the game. People want to listen to it. If I'm in the other room and I've got the game on the TV, there's only so much I can gather from the broadcast, right? You know, well, there's he's hitting two, but I don't know what they're seeing. They're not describing to me what they're saying because they know it's television and you're looking at the graphics on the screen or whatever. But if it's a radio call, I don't care what room it's in, I can hear because the guy is telling me, or the girl is telling me what's going on, what the count is. You rarely, if you listen to the TV feed and you close your eyes, you rarely hear, except it's the 3-2 pitch. You never hear ball loads 1 and 2. That's radio. What was that? What was that? Did he say 1 and 2? Okay, 1 and 2. So in your head, you're going, okay, 1 and 2, and you're picturing, what am I throwing this guy 1 and 2? And is the batter shortening up on the swing? And then the announcer says, he goes, so-and-so shortens up on the bat, shortens up with 2 strikes, going to cover most. Okay, good. All right, he swings, fouls it off. He reached for a high pitch, probably out of the strike zone. But the TV guy isn't going to say that. You saw it. You saw him reach for the pitch.
Right. And not everyone has this gift of sight. Like, let's not forget our visually impaired friends who absolutely love listening to a ball game on the radio.
So fuck Rogers. Okay. And now I know what's going to happen here because I'm on Rogers. The whole studio is going to shut down. What did he say?
And I mean,
just like the message I got from Elon Musk the other day, you sent too many tweets.
I got
what? What do you mean? 5 tweets is too many. Like, where did this happen? Holy cow.
You only get 1 tweet a day now. Hebsy, though, what kind of cost? I mean, we'd only be guessing here, but it doesn't sound
$50,000, $50,000 to $60,000
for the whole season.
Yeah,
pocket change, right? That's come on.
Like I said, this broadcast brought to you by Bo Bichette.
But why are they cutting?
He signs for 3 years and $33.6 million. He says $33.6 million. He goes, you know what? Here's $60K. Ben. You're on the road.
No, he's like, why would I cough up that money when Rogers makes X billion dollars a fucking year? This is how I'd be thinking. Like Rogers can spread.
And does Bo care if there's a radio broadcast? I mean, 24-year-old Bo Bichette, does he,
No, I look forward to the Gregory Strong article that you're going to be quoted in. But I will say that if you're trying, this is supposed to be the world. This is
he better not misquote me either.
He won't. He's a good boy.
I know. No, he recorded it. No, trust me, he recorded it because if anyone ever says to you, I was misquoted, right? And you have your notes, for example, the old stuff. You've got, no, here's my notes. This is what I wrote down. You can still say, well, you misheard it. But if it's on tape, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you edited that. Excuse me? Now, think about it. Mike, you and I know we're both quite proficient at editing, especially audio.
Sure.
You could easily I could take a clip from something you said 8 years ago.
Sure.
Right? Take it out and make it sound and say, here's the tape. You said it.
Yeah.
That is your voice. And you could say, and quite honestly say, you edited that. How do I know that's original? Right? Where's the original?
Sure, but we have trust in the great journalistic integrity of a Gregory Strong. Who's
I was kidding about that, of course.
But hey, I have a question. So this is probably not announced, but probably the farewell season of Buck Martinez. Okay,
why are we saying this? Like, why is this the farewell?
Well, there's a lot of speculation he might not even do one more year, although he was kind of vague.
Who's this from? Who's the speculation from?
He dropped hints in, I don't have the recording here, but I did read his quote where he was considering that maybe it was time to hang up the headphones. But here's my point. So this is it. Last season of Buck, let's say, the Jays are all in. Let's get to the World Series. It's time. And you're going to save $50,000 by not sending Ben Wagner on the road. Like, it just doesn't compute in my little feeble mind. Like, why are you saving the pocket change, literally pocket change for Rogers when you got to go big this season. This is the World Series winning season for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Mike, here's what I would love to do. I would do it. I would do it if I could get away with it. I would help Ben Wagner out by doing my own broadcast, right? I'd watch it on a monitor, right? Have it on my YouTube channel like I have it now live, and do the game, right? Like call the game and make my own comments on the game. So that if you didn't have radio or you didn't want to listen to whatever the case was. So I'm not at the game, but neither's Ben, right? So he has no advantage over me. He doesn't. He might have a couple of different screens, different views on his bank of monitors, but even so.
Right.
All right. And I'm not saying it's easy to do or hard to. I'm saying I could do it. I could do it.
You could. I could
do it, and people would listen and watch. I wonder what Hebsy's got to say. That's low for a ball. Okay, great. So just listen to the audio. I'm watching the game for you.
Right.
You could turn the sound down on the game and watch me watch the game.
Right.
There are people that do that, and it's quite entertaining. I want to watch him watching the game. I want to watch, remember the show? You ever see the show Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Yes, of course. Yeah, the bad.
Right. So the idea that you're watching someone who's watching a bad movie, and listening to them comment and make fun and do whatever is the best.
I agree.
It's the greatest. I mean, Joel Hodgson's a fucking genius. But we all do that. Whether you're watching the live show, what did he do that for? What's all that about? What the fuck is all that? What's he swinging at? Is the best one. Wouldn't it be great if the play-by-play guy went, what's he swinging at? That ball was over his head.
Right.
I used to love to listen to Harry Carey because that's the way he would do the games. Now, he was juiced all the time. He's fucking banging back the Budweiser. Hey, nobody's going, what the heck is he swinging at? I remember watching the games. You know the move in baseball where the pitcher, there's runners at first and third, and the pitcher fakes the throw to first and then pivots to third. Maybe catches the guy creeping off third.
Yeah.
And that play never works. And one day I'm watching a Cubs game and I don't know, they try it and Harry Gary goes, oh, for crying out loud, that play never works. What the hell are they doing? Concentrate on the hitter. And I just remember going, how many play-by-play guys are going to do that? That's the honest to God's truth. It's a hot day. It's August. It's what the hell is he doing this for? That's what I would do. I would be watching the game and I would call the play-by-play and comment on it. I should do that.
Now, if I may, just to let you know, so you obviously can't do that on YouTube because they'll shut you down. Because
will they?
Yeah, but I actually have a pirate stream, which which they can't shut down. You could do that on a pirate.
Can we do that? I would love to try it. Seriously, I'd love to.
Live.torontомike.com is where I can go to play the Los Lobos songs without worrying about.
I think it would be great.
Down.
I'd like to do it for a road game simply because I know
we should do one at least, a test bed. Come to live.torontomike.com and watch Hebsy call a game. We could 100%
ask the viewers if they'd watch. I got to have at least 20 people say I'll watch that before I agree to do it.
We should have them tweet at Hebsy Man or
and I'll do it. I'll do it and no offense to Ben, I want to help Ben out. I want to help him out because
although I don't know how that helps.
He'll be restricted. He's restricted in his commentary. He can't say what the heck is he swinging at.
Might not be as
helpful. They'll come right down on him. They'll say, we're not going to talk to you.
Right.
But me, I can say it.
Because they don't pay
with impunity. Mike, I can do it with impunity. And you know me, that's the way I am. I'll tell you the Super Bowl story in a few minutes about
I'm ready.
Getting away with stuff. Okay, let's get to golf now. Biggest party on the PGA Tour takes place this week. Super Bowl week, every year at the Waste Management Open in Phoenix. It should be called the Wasted Management. Just whoa. The fact that the Super Bowl is in Arizona this year makes it even more fun. A lot of guys' trips are happening this week. You know what a guy's trip is, Mike, to Arizona? Golf, partying, Super Bowl. In that order. Well, golf and partying together and then partying with the Super Bowl. It's like a killer vacation. You go down there. You know what these guys do? They come down from the north. They fucking take their clubs. They play 36 holes the first day. They're red as fucking beets. They go to a steakhouse at night or some fancy restaurant that they've planned, right? They're super red. They're drinking red wine, probably $75,000 a bottle. I don't know. From Joey Votto's mom, a sommelier. And then the Super Bowl, by Sunday, the Super Bowl, they're done. They're wasted. They can't even, right? Paying thousands of dollars. It's a great guy's vacation. That's what they do. So that's what's happening down there now. And Super Bowl XXV, LV, whatever the hell it is.
LV 11 or I guess.
Whatever the heck it is. So they're all down there. And many of them were drinking heavily during the first round of the Waste Management Open, where the leaders are two Canadians, party monsters. Okay, these guys love the party atmosphere. Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin carrying the lead at 5 under 67. But hang on a second. Wait a minute. Play was suspended yesterday. I don't know if it was darkness. Was it rain? Couldn't have been rain. Did it rain there? It doesn't rain down there, does it? Anyway, it was suspended for some reason.
Rained here.
And a lot of players still out on the golf course who have not completed their first round. So let's not get too excited. But hey, 2 Canadians atop the leaderboard as we stand right now. It's 6:48 a.m. I guess the sun's just getting up there in Phoenix right about now. And early risers will be completing their first round, and then they'll start the second round, and then there's the third round, and then the fourth round, which will be completed well before the Super Bowl, which goes at 6:30 on Sunday. Corey Connors 1 under, Taylor Pendrith 2 over, Mackenzie Hughes and Adam Svensson 3 over par after the first round. And the Waste Management has that 16th hole, Mike, that par 3 that when you have a hole in one, they just go nuts and throw beer and water bottles and everything onto the green. It's nuts. It's so ungolf-like, but so much fun.
Yeah,
Crazy.
once again, fun sneaking its way into sports. Get out of here, fun. Sports is very serious. Okay, I just want to shout out quickly just a few people who want to watch you call a Jays game on the Pirate feed here. Gene Velitis is going to watch. Martin Lai is going to watch. And I love this handle. I don't know who this person is, but they call themselves Bubble Girl Knits. So Bubble Girl Knits says,
nice.
Would love for you to do this for Jays game.
Nice. All right, so I can do this on your Pirate stream, Mike. So what we do is we when the time comes, we send out the link in advance.
Well, it's live.torontomike.com. We send it out, and
there
then people can click in. They can even comment in real time. And
great. So you'll be my color commentator, right?
Yeah, and I can even chime in with comments from
That's awesome.
We just picked the game, like a special game we're going to do it for, and yeah.
So I'm thinking this. Can you combine like Toronto Mike episode, whatever, 1200 and something like that with like, that's not a podcast. That's not a podcast episode, but that would be pretty cool.
Look, I'm game for anything. The only caveat here, of course, is that, everyone at Rogers is going to be aware that we're doing this. So I'm just curious if we get a cease and desist. Because it is against, of course, the licensing rules. That's why Steve Dangle can do this for Leafs, because Rogers has the broadcasting rights. That's the big difference there. We don't actually have the broadcasting rights. But I'm willing to give it a go because I like to live dangerously.
Okay, here's the only issue I have.
Paul's going to watch too. I just want to shout out Paul Ante.
Nice. Here's the only issue we have, which we're going to have to test out, Mike.
Yeah.
Is everybody going to be on the same live feed?
Well, you don't see them, right?
When I'm watching the game here, where you're watching the game, are we going to be watching it will it be in the same time? Won't be real time.
No,
how much of a delay will there be?
That's always an issue. We'd have to do a little test, but sometimes I see on Twitter that there's a home run for
all the time. So what I'm saying is that those who will be watching us, will they know what had already happened? Or are they going to shut off everything else and only watch us watching the game?
This is a fun little thing. We don't worry about 17 seconds here and there.
Okay, all right, that's cool. I'm good with that. That sounds like fun.
Well, let's pick maybe a nice, Sunday afternoon game. We'll figure out what game this happens.
Yeah. I could do it with the Leafs too on your Pirate feed. Why should Dangle?
Well, you know what? Yeah.
No, but the thing is, I would be a lot more I would be more objective. I think.
Dear friend of mine is now in Rogers Communications. I look forward to the awkward call I get from him. So this will be fun.
Yeah. He's going to tell me to cease and desist. I'll tell you.
Nice. I won't say his name.
I'm going to we got to move in here because I got a story to tell you about going against authority, something I'm very good at. Okay. Sometimes successfully, sometimes not.
You're a rebel without a cause.
What's that?
You're a rebel without a cause.
Something like that. In tennis, Denis Shapovalov didn't get out of the first round in Dallas this week. Has not been playing well. He's won only 4 of his last 11 matches. But hey, it's wintertime. Felix Auger-Aliassime playing much better, of course. But really, at this time of the year, I don't know. It doesn't. If you're really hot in February, so what? It's big deal. When the majors come, when the French comes along, when the big tournaments, the clay season starts, then we'll talk. Then we'll talk. Even before that, we'll talk. On the women's side, Mike. Bianca Andreescu. Last week I said, if she doesn't win this, you said, what if she doesn't? I went, what?
Because there's no guarantees, I said.
She flamed out. First of all, she flamed out so badly that she actually had a huge lead and then retired before the match even ended with a shoulder injury.
Wow.
Which is that's happening too often with her. And when she won the Rogers Cup, she did so when Serena Williams withdrew. I never liked that withdrawing thing, but I get it. And then she lost in the first round. And now she's withdrawn from the big event in Doha, the 500 event, after getting into the field. He actually lucked into the field when Ons Jabeur had to withdraw. And then, like a few minutes after she got into the field, it looks like she withdrew. I don't know, injury, whatever. She changed her coach recently. What the hell's going on? Meanwhile, Lila Annie Fernandez is off her game as well. She lost in the first round at Abu Dhabi this week. Abu Dhabi.
Oh.
Now, I covered the Super Bowl for many, I don't know how many Super Bowls I covered when I was, even before Global TV, when I was in radio, CKEY Radio 590. We had the rights. We had the rights, the radio rights, the national radio rights to the National Football League. So we always did Monday Night Football. We had those games on CKEY, and of course all the playoff games, which were on the weekends, we would have them. So I started covering Super Bowls in 19. The first one was the one in Pontiac, the Silverdome, between the San Francisco 49ers and the Cincinnati Bengals that the Niners won. That started the Joe Montana era. Who, right. By the way, everyone, the Tom Brady thing, the best quarterback ever is Joe Montana. The greatest quarterback ever is Joe Montana. So the thing with Brady and all the Super Bowls is great, but Brady lost a few Super Bowls too, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Montana never lost a Super Bowl, eh? Never.
Okay, but what is it?
Montana never threw an interception in a Super Bowl, eh? Never. So Montana's the greatest quarterback of all time. 4-0. Played in 4, won all 4. Prove me wrong.
Okay. Well,
prove me wrong. So anyway, Joe Montana was the first. And that was his first Super Bowl win. And so I covered a lot of them. So when I was at Global, Global had the rights to the NFL. Do they still have it? Because the Super Bowl was on Global every year I was there. Every freaking year.
No, they don't have it. CTV has it.
You're right. Of course.
Media has it.
What am I thinking? But Global had it for years. So anyway, what would happen was, as soon as we knew who the two teams going to the Super Bowl were, even before that, we would book the Final Four. We'd book hotel reservations and plane in those 4 towns. And then once the 2 teams were eliminated, we would cancel those 2 reservations. And Jim would head off for cover one team, and I would head off to cover the other team in the weeks prior to the Super Bowl. So one year, it's the Giants against Denver. Jim's off doing the Broncos. I go to New York with my producer, Mitch Azaria, and my camera operator, Dave Perot, and we go to New York City, and we're covering the Giants. And this is the Bill Parcells Giants. They got Phil Simms, a quarterback. They got Lawrence Taylor, all these great players. So we go down there, and we interview Parcells. We interview a bunch of players. And we get some great, stuff. And now we want to get some footage. It's called B-roll in the business, Mike. We want to get footage of the Giants practicing. We want to get shots of Phil Simms because we interviewed him, and shots of Lawrence Taylor and all these guys, and put some stories together, right? But they won't let us. You're not allowed to film, to record the players. You can record them coming out of the tunnel onto the field, but you got like 2 minutes, and then everybody out. So I'm like, well, we didn't travel all this way we don't have enough footage. We got to get some footage. And the other local broadcasters are saying, no, you can't do it. It's against the law, the rules. And my attitude has always been, if I'm outside of Canada, and even if I'm in Canada, look, we're Canadian. We can do this in Canada. We're polite people. We ask nicely. We're not going to bother anybody. We're going back to Canada. So I'm trying to pull off this. Well, we're in Canada. No one's going to see this in Canada. It's not like we're going to show this, your secret plays or anything like that, which in fact is exactly what we wanted to do. But who's going to see it in Canada? Anyway, they're like, nope. So they order us out. So you leave. So we're supposed to get on this elevator and then go down a level on the elevator back to the offices, and then through the offices into the parking lot, and away we go. We're done. So I say to Mitch and to Dave, I said, we got to get footage. We have to get some footage. We can't just get the guys walking out of the tunnel. And so we devise a plan that we get on the elevator, but instead of going down, we go up to the seating area, up to the mezzanine, and which we do, and we sneak, and he's got a camera on a tripod with a long, those detachable tripods. You can make them pretty long and pretty tall. So you could actually shoot something over something where you pull the viewfinder down, right, Mike? And the camera is sitting way up here,
right,
way up there. But you could see what it's doing. It's sort of like a periscope.
Yeah, like a periscope.
Right? Yeah. And so we set this thing up, and we're quiet and all that. And they're on the field, and they're working on their plays and all that. And we're looking around and saying, we got to get this footage. We got to get something, even if it's a couple minutes worth. We need to have some B-roll. And so they're working on this play, this fake field goal, where they're lining up, and Jeff Rutledge is the backup quarterback, and he's the holder, and he takes the snap, and then he pulls the ball back, and he throws to the tight end, Zeke Mowat, right on a 4th down play on a fake field goal. So they run this play 3 times, and Dave Perot's shooting, and he's like, I got it. It's great. I got a wide shot of it. I got some fabulous footage. And I'm going, this is great. And then all of a sudden we hear, hey, what's going on up there? It's Bill Parcells, the coach. He blows his fucking whistle, right? It's like, holy shit. He blows his whistle, and I can see this. He points up to, for some reason, I guess he spotted the camera, and this is hundreds of yards away up in the seats.
Yeah.
What's going on up there? And before you know it, here come 2 assistant coaches running up the and it's probably 40 steps, 50 rows up where we are, where the mezzanine is, right? Holy shit. So Mitch runs to the elevator, right? And fucking presses the elevator button, and Perot grabs it doesn't even take the camera off the tripod. And the tripod's like 6 feet high now, right? Or higher. And he's carrying the camera with the long tripod, running like it's a ladder. It's the height of a ladder. And I'm behind him, and I got the camera bag and a mic, whatever. Fucking we're hightailing it to the elevator, and Mitch is pressing the button, and the elevator's not arriving. And we hear thump, 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 and guys are running, and we're pressing the fucking button, pressing the button. We're fucked. We're going to get like thrown in jail for sure. Yeah. And we hear now security is coming along. I guess they're up in the concourse, whatever. This is Meadowlands, a giant stadium, 70,000 seats. Fuck. He's pressing the button. Finally, the elevator, ding, this little elevator comes. We get on the elevator. I swear, I want to tell you that the guys are 2 feet away, and they're about to press the button. We still hadn't seen them, but they're coming any second. And the fucking elevator doors close, and we go down. Luckily, there's nobody waiting for the elevator on the next floor down, which is where we had to exit before, or we're dead.
Right.
But we go all the way down to the bottom floor where the offices are. We come out of the elevator running through the Giants' offices. This is the offices of the New York Giants. And here's 3 fucking Canadians, one of whom has a fucking 6-foot-long tripod with a camera attached to it, running out to the fucking parking lot, jumping in our rental car, which, by the way, when we ran out there, we're like, where's the car?
Right.
Because there's dozens of cars in the parking lot. It wasn't game day, luckily, but there's like, holy fuck, where did we park? And what did we rent? Like, who's got the keys? Like, what?
Right.
Run to the fucking rental car, pull out of the parking lot, like looking behind us, where, because we're thinking cops are coming and security and the coaches, right? We're dead.
Right.
Fucking back to the hotel, fucking hearts pumping. Now, in those days, you couldn't record something and then watch the recording, watch what you had recorded. You had to take the tape and physically put it into a playback machine that would play the tape for you on a monitor.
Okay.
Couldn't do it. So we don't know. Like, he's pretty sure he's got the shot. I mean, he was rolling, he was recording, but still, we want to see what did we get. And also, did he turn the camera? He didn't even remember if he turned the camera off. Did we get all the other stuff, right? So sure enough, we get back to the hotel, and we hook up the playback machine, and we're watching it. And, holy shit. And sure enough, we got the footage, but we've also got the wild sound of, hey, what's going on? He didn't turn the thing off. It was still recording. And it's awesome. And it's us going, we're watching ourselves going, like, it had just happened like 20 minutes earlier. We're watching ourselves going, holy shit. Anyway, we get back to Global after all this, and we've got the footage, and we use it as part of our preview. And sure enough, Mike, during the Super Bowl, they run the play successfully. They run it. They attempt a field goal. They fake it. Rutledge throws to Mowat for a 20-yard gain or whatever.
Wow.
And we're going, and so in our preview, I had put in saying, and you never know with Bill Parcells, he could always run a trick play. And we had run them running that play surreptitiously, that we had gotten that recording from. And they got calls afterwards. Where did you get that footage from? And I don't know what happened. Like, I didn't hear after that, but I think there was an admonishment that Global had been kind of like, hey, I don't know where'd you get that footage from? Nobody else had that footage. Like, CBS didn't have that footage. Anyway.
Wow. Imagine in the day of social media, what would happen if that little promo there. That's amazing.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there you go. I predict for this year's Super Bowl, the Eagles will beat the Chiefs 27-24. That's the prediction. They'll cover the spread. And don't at me if it's the other way around. If the Chiefs win, I'll be happy. Sure. Because as long as it's a good game. There you go. And that's it. Episode 320 of Hebsy On Sports. Thanks to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration, as always. Hit him up at Toronto Mike and listen to his outstanding podcast. This is our first effort from the new studio. It's the temporary studio. We've got first and last month's rent down on it, so we're okay there. And we're going to get the new furniture in and all the accoutrements and all that type of thing. And hope you enjoyed the broadcast. And thanks for allowing us into your headspace. It's always a pleasure. And let me know if you like the idea of watching me comment on a game, call the game and comment on it at the same time. I think I'd be pretty good at it. Let me know if you like the idea. And if enough people say so, then we'll set something up. We'll have some fun with that. Meantime, back with another exciting episode of Hebsy On Sports next week. Until then, so long for now.